Hi, and welcome back to the Mortgage Broker broadcast. My guest this week is Rosalia Lazzara Tilley, and Ros was on the podcast back in June last year, episode 12 it was, and yeah, so much has happened since then. I wanted to get back onto the podcast, talk about Content Hive. She's got a webinar coming up talking about what she's looking to achieve with that, how the webinars come about. There's other things going on, two weddings, and we could have a chat about that as well, and so much more. And yeah, I just wanted to get Ros back onto the podcast so we can really have a catch up and understand what's happened this year for her and what's going on in the sort of content marketing world. And yeah, let's just get Ros onto the podcast. So welcome back onto the podcast, Ros. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Craig. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. And thank you for agreeing to come back onto the podcast. It was, wow, like time flies. I'm going to talk about what's happened in the past year, but it was nearly a year ago, episode 12 of the Mortgage Broker broadcast. It was back in June of last year. It was quite funny because when I was listening back to the podcast and thinking about what we talked about a year ago, I think the weather had just sort of turned and it was nice, and the weather had sort of become to be a lot better than what it had been. And it's just ironic that we're in a bout of sunshine right now. So great
Yeah,
timing.
yeah. It is a sunny conversation every time. I mean, what people don't know is that we've just been talking 20 minutes just before this of such great stuff, but we didn't catch it. So we're going to do another one now.
Yes, I know. Like we talked about, we should have hit record half an hour or so ago, and we would have got some great content. But yeah, hopefully we can. We don't need to worry about that, and we'll still be creating good content because there's so much to talk about. I want to hear so much. It's like it's been a year. There's been so much sort of going on from your own point of view. So we're going to talk about two weddings is one thing, books I'm hearing about, webinars, obviously the Content Hive, and like you're talking about the some possible rebranding going on there and other exciting things. So yeah, wow,
Yeah.
what a year.
Yeah, so much. Yes, you're right. Yeah, thanks for keeping up to date with all of that. You know more about my life than I do. Yes, there is all of those things to talk about. Lots has been happening. Yes.
So first of all, let's talk about the personal stuff. Two weddings. Yeah,
Well,
why
yeah,
not?
I mean, why not? If you're going to go large, you might as well do it right. Yeah, two weddings. Basically, because we're getting married in Italy, we went to go and speak to our priest, or my priest, back where the church where I got baptized in and where my parents got married in. And we spoke to him and said, oh, we want to get married, etc. And he was like, well, you have to do the legal bit in England because you're registered there, you live there, and then you have to bring me the legal documents, and then we do the blessing, like we do the actual ritual, the ceremony. So that's when we realized really quickly that we had to arrange a second. I mean, this was, that's what it pays to be organized. Some people call it control freak. I'll just call it organized. But yeah, so basically last year we knew that we would have to get the registry office done here in time to get all the admin stuff ready for Italy. So yeah, so we did that in April, and we combined it with the confirmation ceremony as well. So to get married in the Catholic Church, you have to be confirmed. Whereas I'd stopped at communion, and my partner actually converted. He didn't have to, but he converted. Yeah, so we did this whole big like celebration. Like he became Catholic. We both got confirmed at the same time. We got married on the same day, and now we've since been to Italy. So we did a little stopover at the end of April and just brought the documents to the priest. So we're getting ready for the big shebang in July.
Wow. Sicily, am I right? Sicily? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Sicily.
Yeah. So July, hopefully, I'm sure the first of all, the weather's going to be amazing. So I don't think you have to worry about that side of things. But yeah,
Depends what you call amazing, because I'm in a dress that obviously is heavy. I couldn't, otherwise I'd have to get married in my bikini, and that wasn't really the theme of the wedding. It wasn't a beach wedding, but yeah, it's going to be hot, but we just can't wait. We've been trying the food, we've chosen the wine, we've just, oh, it's been phenomenal. It's been so great planning it. I absolutely love it.
it's like you've got so much going on with the wedding, we're going to look at, I know you're not here to talk about the webinar and the book bag. We're going to talk about it because I'm just interested to know what's going on with that. You've got the webinar today, so a big setup for that. And with regards to your first ever webinar, is that right? Is that the first webinar you've done?
Yeah, so it is actually. It's the first free public webinar that I'm launching for my broker community because I normally only work with people. They approach me, we work one-on-one, and that's it. Or networks approach me and I do a webinar for their advisors, as I've done for your network. And and that's how I provide my webinar training. But then what hit me was my vision and my goal. And I realized I needed to do something broader in order to achieve that goal. And that goal is, I don't know if you've seen recently my post about financial education in schools.
Yep, I have. You've got quite a few comments and feedback on that.
Oh, cool. Excellent. Yeah, I would love to. Literally, it's like going to be my new, once after I'm married, I'm going to be really bored. So my new project and baby is going to be this. So I want to take on as much as anyone will give me and any advice and feedback. But what I realized was, a lot of people have asked, why are you specializing in social media for mortgage brokers? And why are you doing it for mortgage advisors? And do you not do it for anyone outside of financial services? And yes, I have worked with people outside. Of course I have. But my biggest motivator for helping financial advisors to stand out on social media and raise their profile is because we are undereducated as a population, as users, as people. We don't understand our finances. And I think that education begins from school, because when I look at myself and how I entered the financial services industry, I entered with no mortgage, no credit card, didn't know what a loan to value was. I had no idea what the whole industry was about. And the company that hired me at the time wanted me to sell bridging loans. Now, I think that's really, I said to them, I was like, I have no idea what that is. And they were like, you're in. And I thought, I don't know if that sounds right, because I'm selling something that I don't know what it is. So what I did in my own spare time that company didn't know about, I paid £1,000 of my own savings to go to a property seminar, a property course, where they taught you about bridging, commercial, buy-to-lets, how to buy 12 properties a year on a credit card. My mum was sitting next to me, who's got her own portfolio, and her jaw hit the desk. And she was like, you're not going to do this, are you, Roz? I was like, I don't know. I'm just learning. So I just, oh, the things I've heard. So this is my, because I came from an education, I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to like learning. I love learning. So because the company wasn't providing it, and I didn't feel comfortable selling something I didn't know, that's why I took myself onto a course. So long story short about the webinar, I don't feel comfortable giving people something, or, I just don't feel comfortable putting something out there that I have not practiced myself, or that I've not educated myself on. So I educated myself, and then obviously I've got 7 years experience now in financial services. I've worked for a lender. I've done all my exams. I'm not CBAT qualified, but what I mean is I've had to do all my regulatory exams at the bank. I have to make sure that I pass my exams, otherwise I'm not allowed on the road, and all that kind of stuff. So I've educated myself in that. And now my biggest goal and passion is, I need to help financial advisors educate. You need to come with me and educate teenagers, young adults who come out of university or come out of school not knowing how to deal with their budget, not knowing how to buy a property, not knowing what a CCJ is on their record, not knowing why you shouldn't buy clothes with Klarna, why you shouldn't be using these monthly installment payment schemes, and getting yourself in debt for things that don't even matter. If you're in debt because you've got 6 properties and you've got mortgage debt, great, I can see the wealth coming. But if you've got debt because you bought loads of clothes, I can't really see the link of, this flashy lifestyle you're trying to live. So I'm trying to host this webinar so that if I can help more advisors learn how to promote themselves and put content out there, then they can together, they don't have to work with me directly, but they can gain something from that webinar that helps them gain confidence to go out there and educate the audience. That's the purpose of it, really. It's not to drive leads. It's free for a reason. You know, they will all be explained this later today, that is the intention of the webinar. And that's the mission we're on. You know, I know they will want leads. I know that they're like, oh, I want to go on the webinar because Rosalie is going to teach me how to get leads. But really, the bigger picture here is, who are you talking to? Who's your audience? How are we going to educate them? And you are the leaders. You need to help me in this, not me. You are the advisor. So it's you that I need out there to make that happen.
Definitely. So from what I'm taking from that, Ros, is that then basically you are educating the educator, aren't you? That's what you're trying to achieve, is from a broker's point of view, they're the people that are. I think that's a big thing, is whenever you look at social media, whenever you look at content and all the things that you can do in between, my main driver has always been, it's not about the number of likes, the number of followers, the number of people that are, it's not about that. It's about educating people. So whatever that is for you, like they say, educating the brokers to educate, to then offer help and support, not selling, not call to action, not anything like that. It's about educating these people about life-changing events and the importance of these sorts of things when you can do something about it. Because when you look at things like CCJs are only relevant until you want to borrow some money, really. Until and people can get blasé about it. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but we see it as a mortgage firm. And it's not until they don't need it on their file, or their income needs to be better, and the self-assessment is not quite real, and they think, well, that's all well and good. Absolutely understand why you do that. But when you're trying to get a mortgage, it's totally different. So fair play to you. Well, for you to then getting out there and actually educating the educators. I think that's probably, I don't know, that's how I feel comfortable.
That.
Is that about right?
Really take that. Educate the educators. I think that's how I'm trying to talk about it, because I'm still working out, like, you know, the how to explain it or how to bring it to life. I'm still trying to bring this to life. Okay. And it all begins with this webinar, right? Everyone's going to come on. I've already, from the couple of posts that I've done, I've already had people message me privately saying, I've been into a school and I've done this and I want to do more of it. And there's people that have never spoken to me ever. They know what I do. They watch what I do, but they've never engaged with me. And now this has helped them engage, which means I'm not always posting to work with someone or to generate leads. I'm working to find people who are like-minded and have a mutual mission, that together we can achieve something. So me and you might work together on this project, but you might never you might never use me for content. That's okay. Like, that's just something else that I do. So yeah, I'm trying to go on this mission to get education into schools. I've already had a meeting with a local MP.
Right.
And
wow.
Yes, that came about in a funny way. You know, I realized why it did come about, actually. I know why it did, because yesterday I listened to a podcast between Karen Brady and Stephen Bartlett.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
I love Karen. It's just like, yeah, awesome. I love Stephen as well. Awesome people. And she said about, being relentless. And one thing I've always kind of like said to myself is, there's nothing to lose. If you want something and you want to achieve that goal, if you haven't tried, you haven't got anything to lose, because you haven't got it yet. So you're just back to where you were. So what I did was, that's why I know I've made it happen with the MP, because I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to ask him, because if he blanks me and doesn't even respond, I've never spoken to him anyway, so it doesn't even matter. So I just sent an email. This was, by the way, during lockdown.
Right.
So I have had this vision for a while, but just didn't really speak about it. It's a whole other reason why. But I just messaged him and was like, listen, it's the middle of lockdown. This was when the rules were really still very strict. The vaccine hadn't even been invented, like nothing like that, if anyone can remember what that was like. And I just said, I've lost my job. I'm jobless, but I've got some good news. I said, I've started 2 businesses. I'm local. I'm in Hitchin. I plan to be a job provider for the people of the community. I plan to support the community, charities and things like that. And also, I want to bring back, so I want to go back into school, but this time come back with, you know, an armory of like education and experience and how I can impact the school system in a better way based on my experiences. So how am I dealing with the lockdown, with the mindset? You know, I wasn't taught about mindset and personal development at school. I was told I needed to read Of Mice and Men, when really I could have been reading like another book, which could have been about public speaking and personal development and things like that. So anyway, I thought he's never going to respond. Like, he's just going to think I'm some wacko who's just said, like, I haven't got a job and I've just started my business. I'm gonna do big things, MP. I'm gonna do big things. And he was just like, no, because I said to him, I said, you must be getting a lot of negative. Like, we're in lockdown. There's a pandemic. I bet you're getting a lot of emails and a lot of hate mail about you should be doing this and you should be doing that. Well, let me just tell you, I was like, I'm going to be doing this. Like, I'm taking a responsible, like, as a citizen, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Anyway, he was like, we need to have a coffee. I was like, okay. So yeah, we ended up having a coffee.
You
And then I
at
got
Partygate then, were you, Roz? You're not gonna come out now and say you got a fine at Partygate.
no. I don't know where this is going, but he's obviously a very busy man, and he said that there is an angle that he can help me with, but I think MPs kind of need you to do it first and then they'll back you up rather than do it for you, if you know what I mean. So I kind of need to go out there and do it. Then he will come and do the whole, like, I'm putting my face to it kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I understand why you're thinking, where is this going? But actually, it's really powerful because it's going back to it. It's just about, again, seeking an opportunity. You saw in the lockdown, starting your own firm, quitting your job, doing all the things you talked about, and we talked about on the previous podcast, where it's just the same attitude and behavior to go like, well, what's the worst can happen? Just if I just ask if they ignore me, if they don't come back to me, that's fine. I'm not lost anything. I'm not gained anything, but I understand when he comes knocking on my door, campaigning on the trail for the local by-elections and things like that, then I can slam the door in his face with glee. I'm going to say you're going to do that, but you know, it's then. But it is about just going out there and going for it. Like you say, if you don't ask, you don't get, do you? That's the thing with it. And there's a win there for him, definitely, because obviously there's something that you're, like you said there, it's something you're driving and something you feel passionate about, and putting his name to that, and sorry, not his name, his face to that, then does help. So there's a win there for him. There's a motivation for them.
Oh, he wants to. He certainly does. You know, he does see it. I just think it is a time consuming project, and he's got a lot on his plate and everything. So I think he's just, I need to prove that I can do it, and I need to make it happen. I can't wait for anyone else to do it. So I have to take responsibility. I have to do whatever I can, even if it's an MP and you think they're just as diligent and, you know, like on it as you are. They've got a lot on their plate. So it's good to see that even someone like him approved of the idea. You know, I gave him my vision and how I saw it happening. And it's good that, you know, he could have just turned around and been like, absolutely not, do not do that. Like, that doesn't work. And he was very honest. You know, he said, no, I don't think that would work. I think this would work like this, and, you know, X, Y, Z. So he did give me some good pointers, but now I'm calling to the financial broker community and say, you know, who's got a way in. Maybe you guys have got, one of you might have a way into a school but doesn't know how to put this workshop together, and then that's where we can collaborate. Or perhaps you want to be a speaker at your local school, but actually you haven't got a framework, or you haven't got like this program that I'm building, and you want to deliver the program, but actually you've got the connection at the school, or, you know, it's just together. I'm not, you know, this is not just about me, this is about the wider picture here, and I can't handle all the schools, I can't handle all the regions. That's why we need advisors in Essex, in Manchester, in Yorkshire, you know, everywhere, in all the little hubs. We need them driving this locally. And then that's where it makes a bigger impact.
It does. And the thing is as well, once you've created that framework that you're working towards with this thing, then it's a tried and tested method. So then it's more likely for the brokers to, if they work you into a framework, it's like they know when they're talking about mortgages or interest rates or loan to values and all those sorts of things, they've got the framework already in their mind. They know what they're talking about. Whereas going into a school, saying, yeah, that's great. Yeah, we'll do it. Okay, well, what do I actually do now? And start going out there before they got the framework behind it. Once you get that yes, it's then, oh, I need to find out what to do now. Whereas if you're looking at the framework of how to educate those people, and this is something that you're doing, is educating the educator, giving that framework to them and helping them create that framework for themselves, and it's a proven, tried and tested framework, they're more likely to do it, which then is not posting on social media about the interest rates going up. It's not doing just box standard regurgitated stuff. It's actually getting out into the community and getting out in terms of it's creating and cementing authority with your own brand, but at the same time, not doing it in a sort of, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on
Yeah.
Insta, and doing that. It's very much a more of a memorable way of doing things, because it's something that good. David Miles and I, funny enough, talked about this. David's on the podcast in a week so's time, and it was something. And he's coming back as a guest. He was on in August last year. And in August last year, we talked about, forget the lady's name, but she went into Suzanne it was, and she went into a school and provided ice creams. And it's sort of like, well, that's, and obviously it's not education, it's not educating the educator, but it's about being memorable in your local community for doing the right things. So when people are, so then you've got that foot in the door saying, do you know, I brought ice creams in for the teachers. It was back, like whatever happened. And then can I come in and talk about this? And then if they've got that framework behind them, they can think, actually, I can go in there confidently with a firm foot forward rather than the back foot to say, look, I know this is going to work. Let me, and it's good that, like, given the framework, but they have got to create their own framework to a certain extent, because everyone's local is dealing with the local schools and education and the rest of it. But what a great platform to build your own brand.
Exactly that. And it's just about having, maybe your purpose is not about financial education in schools, but maybe it's about empowering women to take control of their finances, and that could be your theme. And then you start to look at, okay, so where are the women, the women groups, the women networking events, how can I support them? So it's just trying, I guess, if for anyone listening to this, don't pick this subject just because it sounds cool and it sounds like an honorable thing to do. Like, I don't want to impose this on anybody. Like, I want to do it because it's important to me. But for you might actually find something more around, business. Maybe your ideal customers, like the business people, what can you do to educate them, to educate them on running a better business, knowing your numbers, being protected, having a safe business, all that kind of stuff. So it's just about making it more than, like you say, the England base rate. Oh gosh, I had to just stop going on social media that day, because that's all I was getting all day, like spam about and I know you have to say it because you want to make sure that your customers know that and you're like letting them know and everything. But we don't need to repeat everything that's going on in the news. Everyone will find out that. What we can't find out in the news is what you're like, what you're working on, your personality. That's stuff that isn't being spoken about unless you speak about it. Like we were talking about this off air, where we were saying, you can't outsource your personality, you can't outsource your values and your attributes, because that is what people buy into. People buy from people, and that's what you've got to show. Leave all the the product related stuff and the news related stuff to take care of itself. If it's important, people will read up about it, they'll find out about it. But if you focus on anything, it is about your mission, your drivers, your values, your personal attributes. All of that is what people will need to see on social media as well.
It is, and it's a really good point, because what I'm thinking about there is that, and I do talk about this, is posting about the interest rates or 95% deal or whatever is in the industry right now with regards to financial services, posting about that is your job. People expect you to know that because you're an expert in your
Exactly.
field already. So that is your job. I don't want to see posts about you doing your job. Nobody wants to, we don't get engaged by people doing the job.
Yeah.
Whereas we do get engaged with personalities, values, all those sorts of things, which actually is outside your job. But just do your job. That's fine. We know you're going to do your job. We know the interest rates have gone up. It's plastered over every news channel we can sort of see, and we know that you're going to be on that because you're our mortgage broker or our financial advisor or whatever it is, whatever your title is. We know you're going to know about that because you've got your finger on the pulse and you've advised us very well for a number of years. So that's your job. Don't publicize about doing your job. What you need
Yeah.
to publicize
Yeah.
about is you and what you're about and how you are different and how you are educating and how you are engaging and all the other stuff that's doing. Do you know what? I'm really sorry. I've gone off on one there. And
Yeah,
I
no, no,
love
exactly. I can 100% agree with you because, you know, I always talk about it in content themes or buckets. So I say, look, you've got your professional bucket, right? And in that bucket, you've got lots of content ideas. And in there, you're going to talk about the difference between interest-only mortgage and capital repayment. You're going to talk about the 3 different types of bridging exit strategies. You're going to talk about how to get on the property ladder. All of that is in your professional, you know, that's your job, like you say. That is the educational, the informative pieces of information that you need to have accessible on your platform so that if a client does land on your profile, they can see a little bit about the kind of stuff that you deal with. And that's important because it makes it clear to the client what you do. So you obviously, if you do pensions, you won't be talking about first-time buyer mortgages. You'll be talking about pensions. So you need to just make it clear from a professional point of view what you do, what services you provide. Okay. Then you've got your personable category or your personal category. That's the hardest one. That's the one that people actually struggle to post about the most. And that's the bit you can't outsource. But ironically, that's the bit that's going to generate more leads than the bit that you do outsource. And I can't explain it simply enough. You know, even when you come and work with me, I can only do so much, but I can, you know, I can write articles for you and pretty pictures for your social media, and I can grow your following. Yeah, you know, there's so many things I can do, but what I can't do is be the face and the voice of your brand. You have to be that. Be you. I can't be you. And you know, one of the first things I said when we first started this podcast to you was, I just respect how consistent and diligent you are with getting yourself out there, you know, without fail. On a weekly basis, I see your face. I see that you're doing this. And if I don't watch the show, it's the subconscious message you're giving out. It's not that you've got a show with someone. It's the fact that I see you. And that says a lot more than what you're actually doing, because that just tells me you're honoring your word, you are committed, you're respectful, you're punctual, you're on time, you're, you know, all of these words come to my mind just because I see you on a weekly basis. You know, well, if I only saw you once every 6 months, I'd be like, oh, he's inconsistent with his content. Does that mean he's inconsistent with, you know, it's that sub message that you're giving out as well. And, you know, you carry yourself in the same way on each podcast. So I know you're not a fake person. Do you see what I mean? That's all of that is given out just by posting. All those sub messages to me stand out because, you know, the way you dress, the way you talk, when I talk to you offline and online, you've got that authenticity, and you can't tell people you're authentic. You just have to be authentic. You know, you just get it. So yeah, like you can't outsource that. You
No,
really can't.
you can't, and it's funny you should say that because that was, we had a bit of a conversation before. You can't replicate you, and it's difficult sometimes from a broker's point of view, and I understand that. And it was difficult for me from the start, thinking, well, where's this going to go? How do I start it? What goes on? That's not something I feel comfortable doing. But I think, like we talked about, I actually love this. I see this as this is not my job. I can't, no, this is not, my job is running CS Financial Group and having the brokers in the firm, making sure they're supported, making sure that all they're doing things. This for me, I absolutely love this kind of thing because it is talking to you, talking to people in the industry, educating myself because I get educated when I'm talking to people. And I just feel that you've got to feel passionate about it and you've got to want to do it. Because if you
Yeah.
don't, and again, you've got to want to do it. You've got to don't sort of see content and doing the things you're talking about of getting yourself out there and trying to educate people in schools and colleges and universities and all those things. If you don't want to do that and see it through, it's fine. Don't
Yeah.
do it. Like don't start something. I'm gonna sound like I'm preaching a little bit now, but
Yeah.
don't start something that you can't finish. It's like just like, and I don't
Absolutely.
mean that in a aggressive way whatsoever, but
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
yeah, if you haven't got that persistence and the drive and motivation to see it through, because you're not, we talked about this, you're not doing this for followers, clicks, likes, comments, or anything like that. You're just doing it because you actually it's something you're passionate about, and you've got to be prepared for the negative comments. You've got to be
Mm.
prepared for the unlikes and the unfollows and the trolls out there and stuff and things like that. You have to be prepared for those. And if you're not prepared for those, you do need to be prepared for those because when that does happen, like we talked about, then you expected that to happen anyway. So you just deal with it. It
Yeah.
just pushes off. It's just water off a duck's back. You do not even, it doesn't even enter into your head. Whereas if you're not prepared for that, and you're putting yourself out there and you're doing what you're passionate about, what you want to do, but you're not prepared and you're not prepared for then that will put you off doing. You'll either be inspired to do more or you'll be inspired to think and give yourself excuses that, oh, this don't work, this is not working, no, this is not for me, it's not what I want to do anyway. Like somebody maybe all those sort of different things that you'll tell yourself. Well, actually, if you stand up from the start, be responsible, like you said, for your own drive, your own motivation, your own persistence, and everything that you stand for, and you take responsibility for yourself. And if that's not doing something, then don't do it. Like nobody's
Mhm.
forcing you to do it. And it's don't do it because you think you have to do it. Do it because you want to do it and you care about it and you're passionate about it. And you are above, it's not just your job. It's not just finding the best deal or the best doing the best protection cover that's your job. That's what's expected to do. If you want to go up and beyond that, then you've got to be prepared for some knockbacks, but just do it. And if you're prepared for that, then you'll continue to have the persistence to do what you care about and enjoy. And I'm really sorry that I am all over your LinkedIn page, but you are. I'm not going to have that when I get your posts on LinkedIn on my social media day in day out. So I'm not going to let you get away with that one, just blaming everything on me.
No, 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 no. That's it's great. I mean, it's a great feeling to see people doing something with on a mission. I'd like to be surrounded with people. I'd rather be spammed by your type of content than content that is about 95% mortgage rates. Because you're educating me, you're making me show up as well, right? I know it's my job to do content, but I spend so much time doing my clients' content that I have to make time to do my own as well, you know. But on this subject of expecting negativity and things like that, it's something that I've started to factor into my conversations with my clients. I've started to talk about social media safety, I call it, and social media awareness and responsibility. So I feel a huge responsibility on my shoulders because I feel like I'm getting people to sign up, pay me, get them on social media, and then I really want to protect them because I'm like, oh no, like what they don't know is that if they do become successful, I have now put them in a position where they are open to trolls and hate mail and people, being bringing negativity. And I feel like I'm the creator of that, as in I've given them that platform to be that. So I have to preempt it and I have to say to people I've been working with, look, you're going to be putting some stuff out there that's personal. And that is where they're going to attack you. They're not going to attack you because you said the base rate is going down, because that is public. They're going to attack you when when you seem to show when you let your guard down. So the minute you talk about the fact that, what I've put out there, that I'm Catholic, and I've put out there that I'm whatever, like I've put myself out there with a one shoulder dress and a no shoulder dress, and that's caused rage, absolute rage at what I'm wearing. But that's people's opinion. So I have to have that conversation with men and females to say, look, I don't know what will affect you or what will trigger you in the future, but something is going to happen, right? Something's going to trigger you, and it's going to put you off social media. You're going to throw in the towel, and you're just going to be like, right, I'm not doing this, social media this and social media that. But if you just expect that it is going to happen, and that these people commenting, the haters going to hate. That's a social media kind of like slang, kind of well-known terminology, which is, unfortunately, I like the analogy, if you can visualize it with me, which is, apparently, because I haven't tried it myself because I don't have the opportunity to, but if you put crabs in a bucket, right, if you've just been fishing and you've caught crabs, you put them in a net in the bucket, they've never been in that environment before, so they just claw around and they have no idea what to do, but they're trying to escape. And then one crab actually figures it out and starts climbing the net, like it's using the net to help it climb out of the bucket. But the other crabs, because they're so fearful of what's just happened to them, and they've no idea what's going on, they start dragging that crab back into the bucket, and they start, I don't know if you could look this up, and they start.
No, wow, I'm in awe of it because I've not heard of this before.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
I was visualing everything about the crabs and the buckets and things like that, but then this is great stuff. Honestly,
you can. It actually it's real. Like, I've seen it, but I haven't done it. If you know what I mean, I wouldn't do that. But what I mean is, like, this crab then gets dragged down to the bottom of the bucket by other crabs because they think that crab is going to put them in danger. Like, that's the psychology behind it, because they're like, we've just been caught, like we don't know where we are. Where's this crab going? So, like, they try and suck you back in. So I always imagine myself as like, the people trying to bring you down, even if it's meant well, because some people mask their negativity, remember, with sweet words, because they don't realize that's what they're doing. So they might mean well, but if they're holding you back, just try and ask yourself, is it because you're the one that's seen the sky above the bucket and you know how to get there, and therefore you know more than they do, or are you are you letting yourself be dragged in by those crabs? And what for? Who are they? Do they pay your bills? Do they go to bed with you at night and say good night? And do they wake up with you in the morning and say, have a great day? Who are these people? Like, why are you giving so much importance? Yeah, yes, it's going to happen, but you can't control other people. You can't control what they're doing on the other side of the screen. So you have to just expect it. Like you say, expect it's going to happen, expect you're going to get people that disagree with you, and just be prepared mentally to deal with that.
No, it's
Doesn't mean it doesn't get you down.
And that's the thing, it's a great, because I'm sure everybody can visual, and I did stay with you, and I did wonder where you were going at first, but I did stay with you. Thought it is, and I think there'll be people out there that will be listening, thinking, "I'm one of those crabs in the bottom of the bucket, dragging somebody else back down." So there's that sort of thought process for certain people going on. But it is about that sort of, and if you know that's going to happen, if you put in that situation and you're prepared for that situation that's going to happen, you're going to be more persistent going, no, I'm right. I know what I need to do. I know that I'm not going to get dragged down by anybody else. I'm not going to worry about anybody else. I'm going to get myself, I'm still going to do everything I can, kicking, screaming, dragging myself up this net to get out of this bucket, because I know out there is the place I want to be.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're only saving yourself. You're only putting yourself in a better environment by coming out of that bucket. So just think about the other side. And don't get me wrong, like, it doesn't mean that I don't get affected by these things because my mindset is so strong. But I find that being prepared and accepting that this is just the nature of the job helps me bounce back a lot quicker. So I'm not saying I am like, Iron Woman and don't get affected by it. Of course I do, but I'm able to bounce back a lot quicker because I have the discipline, or I have the attitude. I catch myself early, basically, and I'm able to just bring myself back on, a positive track.
Yeah. I think that you'd be very naive if you thought to yourself that you would never get any negative comments or any negative issues with
Mm,
putting yourself out there. You would be naive, and it's great when that doesn't happen because they do. Like this post I do, they don't, and that's fine. You like that. That's the positives for me when that does happen. But then if you are prepared that that is the situation and you're not in control of that. And the big thing that you sort of said there for me is how you respond and how quickly you respond to that situation. Because I think people will not put in physical seconds, minutes, or anything like that on it, but there will be people that will see something, a notification will pop up. You look at it, somebody having a negative comment about what you've done, and then you'll either however you react to it and how quick you react to it will show testament to whether you prepared for it or not. And just have a think
yes.
about that. Think about how you've reacted yourself when that you've had that situation. So, and then if you then think, actually, this is what happened, and this is how I reacted, and this is how long it took to react, then fantastic, you're learning. And then next time, when that does happen, in the back of your mind going, this happened before. And I
Yeah.
know that I need to better myself with this. So actually, I'm going to learn here and I'm going to put into practice what I learned last time was that I shouldn't react. I should respond quickly to then get that out of my head and focus on what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is right. And then you can sort of put some sort of measure into how you respond to those situations. And we talked about it from a business point of view. There's certain things I've done from a business. We've done some social media posts that was great because it drove traffic through to the website like nobody's business. Our hits on the website was up thousands of percent week on week. But but then when it first happened, it's then, whoa, like this is, but I knew it was going to happen. I was prepared for this to happen because it was a bit of a Marmite situation. Even though I know the product's right and I firmly believe in the product, the people that did the post me said, look, this is going to happen. So they did prepare me anyway. But so you deal with it quicker. And not everyone's fortunate enough to then be prepared in that way. So they have to mentally prepare themselves thinking, wow, and then because I knew this was going to happen, it would then made me smile that actually
Mm,
the comments were on there were people for and against the product. And it was uneducated people, it was people that didn't understand. It was sort of saying again about the crabs pulling down in the bucket, because they were sort of saying these people they shouldn't be doing something when actually, and the comments back were, well, you don't know anything about me, you don't know my situation, you don't know who I am, you don't know what my needs, wants, and things like that are. So who are you to offer your opinion on my situation?
yeah.
So I've taken advice, I've done this, I'm fully understand what I'm getting myself into, and it's the right thing for me. And it's just, but that's just in terms of, again, from a business point of view, something we did with from the social media. It's just the same thing. You've got to be able to sort of, you're putting yourself out there. You've got to be able to deal with the responses, and if you
Yeah.
can't, and it's not a nicey world. There are people out there that are sat in dark. I just visual them in darkened rooms, sat in
Yes.
front of a light with a bit of a keyboard in front of them. That's how I visual them anyway. Just
Yeah,
mention that.
absolutely. Some people aren't, some of these people aren't well. Some of these people are just genuinely argumentative. They'd argue with you over anything. Um, and some actually just got the wrong end of the stick. You're like, I think you just missed that whole post, or like they didn't even read all of it. And then you're like, if you actually read to the end, you would have realized that I said this. So, you know, focus on the people that you are making a positive impact on, because they're the ones that really count. They're the ones that count on you to show up and to, you know, to really offer them that help and support. Or maybe you offer inspiration, or maybe you are helpful. And actually, if you stop, think about all the people that you are taking this away from, you're depriving them of that joy just because someone else had, you know, a keyboard warrior moment. You know, don't give them that satisfaction.
Do you know when we said about hitting record for the conversation we had before the
Yeah,
podcast? We brought it in anyway,
we
and
did it.
yeah, absolutely, we have anyway. But it has been, to be fair, Ross, with something like that, it is something that everybody can understand and everybody can sort of think about, and it's the choices that you make. You either, once your decision's been made, and if content, putting yourself out there, not just doing your job but doing a lot more as well, once you've just made that decision to put yourself out there, if you're prepared, if you know what could happen, but then it's then you won't find the excuses, because then you will still continue to do it because you love what you do. You'll love posting, not just about doing your job. You'll be love posting about everything else that's sort of going on in your life and how it can relate to, because there is, whether we like it or not, home life and work life do cross over. They have
Yes.
to, in terms of how we react, how we deal with situations, the days, the weeks we've had. They naturally have to have those crossovers. So if you're doing that on a social media platform as well and putting yourself out there, then it's okay to do that. It's sort of,
Yeah.
that's fine, and it's related to who you are. And we talked like about the values, so it's good to get across personality. What does that mean? What does that even look like? What is my personality? How do I
Yeah.
get across? And like talking to someone like yourself who specialize in that sort of thing is then, well, these are this is what you can look to do, and working with somebody on that basis, it's then going, but I think with all this, you've got to want to do it. I think
Yeah.
it's
100%. Yeah.
and it's not something that's going to be a quick fix, a quick win. You're not doing it for the likes, you're not doing it for the follows, you're not doing it for anything else apart from being consistent. And I genuinely, and I know you give me feedback on this and you see me all the time on LinkedIn, but I genuinely don't look at the likes. I look at the comments, absolutely, and I do. I'm aware of the likes, absolutely. I don't look at, oh, that's not a good post, I've only got 10 likes on that, or that's not, because I enjoy doing that. So
Yeah.
like, if there is, for all the 10 the 10 likes, and there is going to be people that don't like it, well, fine, unfollow, unconnect, and you won't see my stuff again, like the stuff
Yeah.
again.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so, but like, if you're in that mindset that you are, oh, I don't want to do it because people might throw comments back, or they won't connect with me anymore, or anything like that, then don't do it. And I think that's because there are people out there that are doing it and want to do it
Mm.
and have a genuine desire to be creative.
Mm.
If you don't do something because everybody else is doing it. If you don't want to do it,
Exactly.
don't
I
do
just
it.
feel
It's
like
fine.
there's only so much, like, again, another quote from the podcast from Karen and Stephen, Karen Brady and Stephen Bartlett, was you'll regret more of what you didn't do than what you did do. And I think that's my biggest goal in life, is to leave no stone unturned. You know, before actually having a business, I thought my goal was like, there was a financial goal I needed to hit, there was a title I needed to hit, to be on Forbes magazine, to be a senior member, you know, all of these like external success measures that I wanted to achieve. And now that I have a business and that I'm really satisfied, like I'm really, really content, and obviously I've got so much to do, but that's my goal, is like, I've got so many interests and passions that my biggest fear is dying with untapped potential. Like, I don't want to leave a stone unturned, you know, like I want to explore every opportunity. And actually, I envy some of those people who have that one track, like, you know, like the Zuckerbergs, and you know, they're like, oh, they're just like this one thing, and they become this big superstar in that one thing. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, I buy like too many things. I'm like, I don't want to just do that one thing. And but that's because I value that experience more than I do the success. You know, like I try and figure out, like, what are you doing it for? Are you doing it for the likes or the leads? And then obviously you may not enjoy the kind of posts that you're doing, but then you switch the kind of posts that you're doing and you're not getting as many likes, but actually you're really enjoying yourself and actually you're attracting fewer people. I always say, like, I look at other LinkedIn coaches and social media coaches, and they've got like 3,000 likes, and we're saying the exact same thing. Like we say the exact same thing. Like it's just there is nothing else to make up. But I get, like, I look at my likes and I just think, right, if I've only got 50, but I've got the business and the income and the lifestyle that I actually love, why am I putting pressure on the 50 likes? Because if I only need 50 to get the lifestyle of my dreams, then why does that number matter if it's a 3-digit number or a 2-digit number? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, so don't focus on that. The only time you should focus on it, as a practical top tip, you know, I don't mean to get into teacher mode, but the reason you should look into your likes is you want to see who is liking it. That's the only time it should matter, is not how many. So
Yeah.
if you're getting 100 likes, most mortgage brokers who come and work with me, they're like, oh, I got like 50 likes on this. And then I look at it because I do a LinkedIn and well, all social media profile MOT and makeover. And I'm looking at what is doing, what is working, what isn't working, where can I improve things, all that kind of stuff. And one thing that is always missed is that because they focus on the vanity metrics, like, oh, this post got 10 likes and this post got 100 likes, all you have to do is click on, I mean, I'm pointing as if you can see, but you have to click on that number. So click on 57, you know, it's highlighted in blue, and check who is liking it. Most mortgage brokers get BDMs, lenders liking their post. And we need to turn that around. So you're even if out of 100 you only get, let's say your ideal target audience was a property developer, what I'd be looking for is 57 likes. What I do for my clients is I go through it and I'm like, how many property developers? And if there's 2, I'm like, there's your 2 leads, go talk to them.
Yeah.
They're your people. Don't worry about the 50 other 5 that liked your post. So that's the only time to just keep an eye on your post, which is who is liking it and how many of them are liking that post, like the ratio. If you're finding that you're just getting likes from BDMs and lenders and actually you want leads from property investors, you need to start adding property investors to your network and start speaking to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really, to be fair, as you have saved me there, because just to clarify, 'cause it's something I said, and I do care. I do look at who's like the post, but I look at it from a, not from a, oh, I've not got many kind of thing. I
Yeah.
look at
Yeah.
who's engaging with the post that
Yes.
I'm doing. I think that, and you're
I know
absolutely
you're
right.
doing it. I know you are. Because I
Yeah,
can just tell. I can tell the conversations you're having, you're adding value. That's the biggest thing, is you're adding value, you're consistent, you're memorable. That's it. Like I don't look at how many likes you're getting. I just look at the impact you're making. But you know, if there's any practical top tip, is just keep an eye on, like, who is engaging with you and are you actually reaching out to the right people. If not, you need to change something about either your messaging or you need to change your connections.
totally agree. And Roz, can you believe we've been going on for 53 minutes
Well,
of,
that's just recorded. That's 53 minutes
I know, yeah,
recorded.
exactly. Yeah,
Not to mention
exactly.
the stuff we haven't recorded.
I know.
Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed our catch up. I can't believe it's been nearly a year.
I know. And it isn't, but because, like you said, because I see you on social
Yeah,
media, I know we still message each other and things like that. I do see what's sort of going on and vice versa from your point of view. So it is just, time does sort of fly by, and you sort of, it is just a year gone by, but, and an amazing year. There's so much happened for you. There's so much happened for me, like personally as well, in terms of relocating and all the things that's sort of going on. So it's been unbelievable. But then I think the thing is, what to remember is that, and my sort of take from this is, with, if I didn't do my podcasting and my social media stuff, you wouldn't know who I am, or we wouldn't have
Yeah.
connected and had any conversations. I wouldn't have even known about the crab in the bucket. So
Yeah.
I'm like, literally, I'm made up with the conversation and the outcome of that. But and vice versa, if you hadn't decided to take like your redundancy, change your career, do what you're doing now, and very successful, and the rest of it. You're not here to plug about the webinar and the books, and we talked about the weddings and stuff like that. But we wouldn't have even had any. And the thing with it is again, because you're doing something you love and you're passionate about and enjoy it, and you understand the consequences, you understand that the negativity that can happen. But then if you wouldn't do it if we wouldn't have met, we wouldn't have had connected, and it's good to have great conversations with like-minded people that are very passionate about what they're doing. We have got on. I certainly did get on my soapbox a little bit there, so I apologise for that, like completely. And I do get carried away now and again. But yeah, but we wouldn't have had that connection, and I think that's the sort of thing is if it's okay to connect with other brokers that are doing all right and comment with
Yeah.
them and talk to them and go because I go back to everything I talk about is about the abundance mentality. It's not, I don't like, I had Fiona on who's a big mortgage broker in Harrogate, and I've got a mortgage broker in Harrogate. We are competition. I don't care. Like, she's doing amazing stuff. Like, great for her. Like, why should I be resentful about that person who's doing really well? And I think you've got to have that. And so it's okay to put yourself out there. It will take you out of your comfort zone. It will challenge you, and it will. And I really want to end on this, and I'm not going to end it from your point of view, because I want to end it. It's something you said on there. Is how you judge success, and I judge success on the experience. That's what I judge it on, and that for me, yes, it's nice to have the income. Absolutely, we're all here to earn money, pay the bills, and sleep well at night. Absolutely. But I love the experiences that I go through every single day and the challenges that I go through. And that's what drives me and motivates me. And the income and everything else is a side thing along with that, because my motivation is experience.
Love it. I love that. And I'm glad I can share that with you. I get it. I do get it. And I just hope that, you or I, or as a team, as a community in the industry, we can help each other, increase and improve that experience that we're having, rather than battling each other against, I've got this patch and I've got this area. It is about experiences. So, that's what you've got to focus on. And that's the kind of people I want to work with. It's not those who come along and say, I've got this budget, how many leads can you get me? That is just not my style. It's just not me. So I've got to enjoy who I'm working with. I've got to enjoy your brand. I've got to buy into you. And then you can make big things happen online as well. But yeah, just have, I think we're just overthinking it. It's just enjoy it. Like you say, let's just have fun. If it's not for you, doesn't matter how much you pay for it, doesn't matter how much you outsource. If you don't enjoy it, then this is just not for you. Just don't engage in something that isn't something that lights you up. Just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean it's what you're meant to do either.
Perfect. Ros, thank you so much for coming back on. Thank you so much for being brave with me. And we've had no agenda. We've got no preconceived ideas. We've got we didn't sort of see where this was going to go. So thank you, first of all, for letting me have that freedom with the conversation, because it can be a bit scary on the podcast. But Ros, it's just been an absolute pleasure to catch up. I love seeing what you're doing with your content. I love sort of seeing what's going on with Content Hive and your webinars and your books and most importantly of all, obviously, the wedding, all right, not the wedding, the wedding.
Getting married to one person.
Yeah. I'm glad you clarified that, because it's probably very confusing. Yeah.
Just for the record, 2 weddings, 1 person.
Yeah, I'm glad we clarified that. So, brilliant. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.